Hello, my name is Eugenia Oganova. I wrote the book that's called Mission Alpha, The Wise and Passionate You. Right now I'd like to talk about the energy guides, which are energy beings that support what we're doing in our journey on a planet Earth, which is one of the chapters in my book. There are many different kinds of guides, and we human beings tend to have all sorts of misconceptions about them. In my life, I have seen many different energy beings because I am clairvoyant, so that means that through my third eye, I can perceive energy. It doesn't mean that I walk around seeing all sorts of weird things all the time, but it does translate into being able to have perception of energy that kind of goes parallel with my physical perception of life. So, from my personal experience, I can say that there are different types of energy beings that support us. And one of the main misconceptions that I run into with my clients is that people seem to think that all our guides kind of need to be this angelic, beautiful, loving, and blonde. Well, that's not true. Not all guides are angelic, and many of them look absolutely not even human-like. Some of them look like spheres of light, and they just radiate light like opalescent balls. Some of them look like different creatures that we don't consider on our planet somebody of a high consciousness, but it happens to be the shape of an energy being because it might have a much higher consciousness from wherever it came from, like for example a spider. So if we don't like spiders in this lifetime, in the physical body that we're in, and then we have a guide that comes to help us, and that guide happens to look like a spider, if we could see the guide, we probably would not trust that being, even though the being is actually very much beneficial and wants to support us. So guides are very clever. They realize how hard it is for us human beings to understand that there are many more shapes and sizes and forms out there in the world, because we tend to think that only humanoid, mammalian kind of a way is the top, the most advanced form, which is not. But because of this, guides tend to help us, and they help by masking themselves into something that we can resonate with. So we might think that we're talking with this beautiful looking female, let's say, and she glows, when really it could be a being that looks like a spider or like a stick or like a ball or something that's completely not how we perceive them. There are even guides that are geometric forms. From our perspective, that just looks like a triangle or a dodecahedron or some other form of geometry that's volumized, and we wouldn't probably normally consider that a life being, but it is a consciousness that has a form like that. So perception of energy guides could be a really good support for us to not feel alone. We're really never alone. That's another human misconception. We think that it's actually possible for us to be by ourselves or be abandoned or be completely alone. That is not how the universe is made. We perceive certain range of vibration, so we get stuck in this perception thinking that, okay, if right here there's nobody else but me, that means I'm alone. But if we really expand that range a little bit, we will realize that there's really all sorts of other beings in there that might not be human, but we think that we're alone because we're only tuning into the human range. So there are always guides and always energy beings that are supporting us. There's actually a lot of traffic, and not all of it has something to do with us. Some of it does, if those are our personal guides. Some of it does not. It just could be beings passing by. So if you ever wonder if you're alone, you're never really alone. So if we have a healthy boundary, a natural boundary, and we are well defined by our membrane around us, no negative guide can ever do anything. There's really no such a thing as a negative guide. There's some beings that have confusion, just like human beings, that could be misguided and have a negative intent. That does not necessarily mean that the person is bad. It means that they just lost. So similar could be with an energy being. But if you're vibrating in a balanced state, if you have this energy going up and down through you, being with a negative intent could not affect you negatively. So really there's nothing to be afraid of. Now, when we perceive energy guides, and guides imply that they guide us somewhere, there are different ways of how we can do that that connects to different chakras through our being. Chakras are rotating funnels of energy, and they are centers for different types of perception. So our crown chakra, that's on top of our head, that chakra has to do with knowing, direct knowing. So when that chakra is how we perceive a guide through that particular center, we get an initial perception of something, and in that instant we get a download of the entire message that the guide is trying to deliver to us. That is pretty impressive. Doesn't happen all the time, but it would be equivalent of tuning into a language, like let's say French, and suddenly being able to speak French because you got the entire language uploaded into your system through your crown chakra. When we communicate with guides that way, then we suddenly know something that we have not known a moment earlier. When that happens to you, that means one of your guides dropped some information into your crown chakra. Through our third eye, we perceive the guides more visually, so there's some sort of a secondary picture going on in our mind to give us a visual of information that the guide is delivering to us. Through our throat chakra, we receive information as a sense of truth, and also as a scent or a sound. So if you hear a sound, a lot of times angels sound like crystalline, kind of ding, ding, like a really high-pitched, and different guides have different sound. That would be perception through the throat. Or also when we have this inner sense of truth, when we know that something happened and boom, in our system we just know it's right. That's this chakra perception. The heart chakra, of course, perceives it more through a feeling connection. The third chakra, which is the solar plexus area right here, that connects to intuitive knowing, when we kind of sense that there is somebody, when we kind of sense there is a presence, or we sense that this particular direction would be the right one to go in for us. That would be a communication with energy guides through the third chakra. Second chakra, or belly, that's more emotional. That's when we emotionally feel something. And the root chakra, it's kinesthetic. That means hot, cold, or as if something passed by you, or where the hairs stand up on end, that kind of feeling. That is a kinesthetic perception, which means the root chakra in your body and the energy guide have interacted. So there are different types of energy guides. Some of them are your personal guides, which means they came in with you to participate in your life when you were born, and they're going to be with you for the rest of your life. They're like friends that's going to be with you the entire lifetime. There's also medical team guides. Those are the guides that are responsible for our health, and they help us maintain our physical body. So if you have a physical issue, you would ask your medical guides. Then there's also angels, guardian angels. They not actually guard us from harm because we create our own harm, but they love us no matter what difficulty we go through, to have us feel supported so we can learn whatever the lesson that we end up going through, even if it's a difficult one. So this information is in my book, Mission Alpha, The Wise and Passionate You. If you're interested in this, you can purchase this book on Amazon.com by typing in my name, Eugenia Oganova, and this book will come up. There's also a website, which is www.energypulsesource.com. You can visit that and read all sorts of materials on this subject and others. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.